Elon Musk recently became the first trillionaire in history, and he can't touch a single dollar. Every cent is locked inside the machine that made him, and the second he reaches for it, the number starts to disappear. The company that minted him, SpaceX, is already bleeding out. And there's a darker story about who that whole IPO was really built to make rich, and it wasn't you. Bank of America is now telling everyone to brace for 3 interest rate hikes this year. To fight an inflation problem, the Fed is about to declare solved by quietly changing the ruler it measures inflation with. And running underneath all of this, the Vice President of the United States sat down on one of the biggest podcasts on the planet and said that one day, an AI-powered algorithm might decide when and where you can spend your money. 4 threads point to the same stark reality. In this system, you don't own what you think you own. This is Truth Block. I'm Hurley. Let's mine truth. Now, real quick before we dive in, I checked the numbers, and most of you who are watching this right now aren't subscribed. Simply Bitcoin puts out high signal content every single day. So if you want that in your feed daily instead of whatever the algorithm feels like showing you, hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. All right, let's get into it. In the fiat system, you don't own things. You own claims, a number on a screen, a share, a balance, a promise that somebody else controls, and somebody else gets to measure. And the people holding the other end of that promise figured out something powerful a long time ago. Control the measure, and you control what counts as true, what you're worth, what your money's worth, and whether your money even works tomorrow. So let's start at the top, with the world's first trillionaire, Elon Musk. That $1 trillion number is real in a sense. The shares exist, the math checks out, but it's a number Elon can stare at and never spend, because the moment he actually tries to sell, the price caves in under him. There aren't enough buyers on Earth to take that much stock anywhere near today's price, and he'd crash it on the way out the door. And we've already seen it. When he needed real cash for the Twitter deal, he had to dump billions in Tesla to get it. That's the richest man alive borrowing against his own shares to fund his life, because he can't touch the pile without breaking it. Simon Dixon has been in Bitcoin almost since the beginning. He sat down with Danny Knowles of What Bitcoin Did and cut straight through the whole trillionaire fantasy.
They want you levered. They want you Elon Musked. They want you, the trillionaire can have his entire net worth wiped out because they borrowed against his stock. He's got subordinated to FIC. He requires military capital to achieve his goal for tick. And he is as subordinated as they get. If you want to wipe out, if Elon Musk doesn't comply, you wipe out his net worth overnight. He gets to play that. But the wealth he's got outside the system in self-custody is his vehicle for fighting against the oppression networks. Because that's network. You're a trillionaire when you can send $1 trillion of Bitcoin or send $1 trillion of gold without needing any shipment or port or government to do it. And at the moment, no one can do that. But if you can, those are the people that they don't want. They don't want powerful people that are sovereign outside of their system. They're rare because they're able to go on What Bitcoin Did and talk about shit that no one else can talk about because they're preserving their self-interest. Your other guests that have companies, that have leverage, that have other things, have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders.
$1 billion of Bitcoin you can move anywhere on Earth, no permission required, beats $1 trillion trapped in a system that lets you look but never leave. And this runs so much deeper than Elon. Think about where most so-called wealth actually sits today. Home equity you can only reach by going into debt against it. Stock options you can't cash without tanking the stock. Private shares with no buyer on the other side. Retirement money they penalize you for touching. The banks right now are sitting on $316 billion in losses they're allowed to pretend aren't real. Paper everywhere you look. Wealth you're told you have, but sitting behind thick glass. This is the trap of not being able to reach your own wealth without selling it or breaking it. And your Bitcoin doesn't have to work that way, and that's why I use Ledn. Ledn lets you borrow dollars against your Bitcoin without selling a single sat, which means no taxable event. Ledn has over $11 billion in loans funded since 2018, with 10 straight proof of reserve audits. They also notably came through 2022 when half the industry torched their customers with 0 customer Bitcoin lost. Your coins are ring-fenced and never rehypothecated or lent out. So to get access to liquidity without giving up your stack, check out Ledn at learn.ledn.io/simply. So if the number representing what you're worth is this slippery, Who decides what your money is worth? Turns out the ruler that measures that is getting swapped too. Bank of America just told its clients to get ready for 3 rate hikes this year. On the surface, Kevin Warsh made it sound like he's running a Fed that's finally getting serious about inflation. But if you read between the lines, something very different is going on. The Fed just decided to stop telling us what it plans to do. For 20 years, they explained every move in detail. The guidance, the dot plot, the press conference walking us through it all. Warsh gutted all of it. He shrank the statement down to a few lines and refused to even file his own forecast for where rates go. Warsh said he doesn't even like the ruler the Fed uses to measure inflation. He called it a rough guess, and the gauge he likes better reads almost a full point cooler right now. Swap that one number in, and inflation looks beaten without the Fed lifting a finger. So we get the same prices we've been struggling with suddenly being touted as a victory, because they changed what you measure them against. Meanwhile, the one thing they can't spin, the Fed balance sheet quietly grew back to $6.7 trillion. So really, they're printing underneath all the tough talk. They've got you watching the rate decision, the hikes, the hawkish headlines. They told you the plan, you just have to read what they do instead of what they say. And this is the same trick as the trillionaire. Whoever holds the ruler decides what's true. And it goes further than what they measure. It's who they let through the door. Let's go back to SpaceX for a second. It helped mint the first trillionaire. But who actually got rich off of it? Not the people buying shares this week. The people who got in years ago, before you were allowed anywhere near it. James Lavish and Doomberg laid out bluntly what this is on Mentor Sessions last week.
And you can see the amount of debt that's just up and to the right here. So it's a problem, and it's not getting better. And that's an interesting take on that, though. But like you said, and that's the Cantillon effect that we talked about. Is that the Cantillon effect is if you're he who is closest to the money spigot is the one who makes out the best. And how do you get close to the money spigot? Well, you can become a congressman, you can, or a senator. You can be close to Fed officials. You could know people and be very close to banks. Who are those people? Hedge funds, investors, large investors, high net worth investors. And how are they close to the money spigot? Well, it's kind of like what Doomberg just said, is that you get the call on SpaceX on day one that, hey, we're going to raise a first round, a seed round, a friends and family round, and you're going to be included on this. And lo and behold, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years later, your $1 million becomes 500 million. It's like, well done. So, but who can do that? You have to be an accredited investor, and you have to know people. You have to be close to those sources. And that's the essence of a Cantillon effect right there.
Of course, it's the accredited investors, the already rich, the already connected, that got into SpaceX down around $30 a share. By the time it opened to the public, regular people were buying near $190 a share. Same company, same shares, more than 6 times the price. For the crime of being normal and being late. That's the whole game. The closer you sit to the money spigot, the better your price. And the thing keeping you out is permission. In the same conversation, Doomberg pushes it one step further. His read is that this whole IPO wave is a machine. Pump the valuations, move the shares from insiders to the public, and every one of those sales throws off a capital gains tax that helps plug a $1 trillion deficit. So you sell people the dream and let the bag land on them, then call it opportunity. Maybe the intent isn't that cold-blooded, but the structure he's pointing at is real, and you can check it yourself. This is a system that requires you to gamble because it already made honest saving impossible. Now picture the other side of that. Bitcoin has no accredited round, no friends and family price, no phone call that goes out to the connected first. It's the same coin, the same price, for everybody awake at 3 a.m. with an internet connection. Nobody gets an insider entry because there are no insiders. And right as all of this is playing out, the biggest wealth event in human history is landing on top of it, AI. So watch what the powerful reach for the second it does. AI is going to create more wealth faster than anything we've ever seen, and pile it higher in fewer hands than anything we've ever seen. But the fight is over what we do about it. J.D. Vance, the sitting vice president, went on Diary of a CEO and tried to answer that.
So the president is supportive of the United States owning these big AI companies.
He likes the idea, as sort of a sovereign wealth fund idea, of the United States taking some stake in these AI companies. He said so publicly. I'm not breaking news. The idea that we're going to allow these companies, let's say 10, 20 years down the road, to accumulate trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of wealth and then we're going to be able to successfully redistribute it to workers. I'm very skeptical of that. Very skeptical of that. I think that's a very modern, I call it a liberal concept. This idea that you can just tax people and give it to poor people and it works out. Then you turn the poor people into effectively subservience of the rich people. You have to give everybody a stake in the society. I haven't quite figured out how this is going to work in the age of AI. I think labor unions are a very important model here, but this is the model where you just take from some people and give to other people. That's never provided a stable society. You've got to give the workers a seat at the table.
Vance is right that you can't just tax the rich and hand it down. That turns people into dependents and has never once built a stable society. He's right that everybody needs a real stake, not a handout. He even grabs the right word, pre-distribution. But look where he reaches for it. Labor unions, collective bargaining, and the government taking a stake in AI companies. An account called Surmount Invest took this clip where Vance floats government ownership and ran it up the flagpole, claiming the White House wants to own every major AI company. Elon Musk replied to that post, and his fix was the other broken one. Don't have the government own it, just print the money and send it straight from the treasury to the people. Because, he says, AI and robots are going to make everything so cheap, we'll be fighting deflation instead of inflation. And he's right about the force. This is Jeff Booth's entire argument in The Price of Tomorrow. Technology drives prices down, and falling prices are how abundance actually reaches regular people. But watch the reflex. Good news, your life is getting cheaper, and Elon's instinct is to print against it. Two of the most powerful men alive staring at the same problem, both reaching for broken money. One wants the state to own it, the other wants to print it. Neither one can or will name the actual disease. And there's a reason for that. Because the same crowd that wants to own the AI and run the rails wants one more thing on top of that. Watch Vance name the thing about AI that actually keeps him up at night.
The other thing I really worry about with AI is surveillance. AI is, a friend of mine once said that AI is fundamentally a communist technology in that it allows governments and corporations to surveil people in very profound and different ways. And that scares me a lot. Like, I don't want a social credit system that's powered by AI. I don't want you to not be able to buy a beer because some tech CEO has given you a score based on an artificial intelligence algorithm that nobody actually understands. That scares me too. But I don't think we're going to have mass unemployment. We might have mass inequality. That's its own problem. It's a different problem, though.
The second most powerful man in the country just described a world where an algorithm decides whether you're allowed to use your own money or not. And that's the floor underneath everything we've walked through today. A net worth you can't touch, a price you're not allowed to get, an inflation number you can't trust, and now money that can be switched off. Because when your money is a claim somebody else controls, they can pull it. For any reason. Or for no reason at all. So what does the opposite of this even look like? It's Bitcoin in self-custody. And that's where the Bitcoin Way comes in. The Bitcoin Way's entire job is making the answer to who controls your Bitcoin one word. You. The Bitcoin Way is a team with over 25 years in cybersecurity that'll sit with you one-on-one and walk you through real self-custody. Your own keys, your own wallet, your own node. And then help you lock down everything around it so nobody slips in the side door. So whether you're brand new to Bitcoin or 10 years deep, they meet you where you're at. Snag your free consultation by going to thebitcoinway.com/Hurley. So let's pull all of this together. The trillionaire who can't spend his trillion. The Fed swapping the ruler so it can call inflation whatever it needs to. The pyramid that sold you at $190 after the insiders got in at $30. Two powerful people reaching for broken money. A vice president is scared of the off switch he can already see coming. Every one of these is the same move. Put a layer between you and the real thing, then own the layer. You hold the claim, they keep the control. There's exactly one asset that breaks this pattern. One thing you hold that nobody issued, nobody can recall, and nobody gets to remark in the night. 21 million forever. A supply no committee can swap or reread. So there's no ruler left to rig. One price for everyone. No insider round. And no off switch, because nobody can score you out of it. Remember Vance's word? Pre-distribution? He went hunting for it in unions and government stakes. But it was sitting in the money the whole time. Honest money doesn't wait for a politician to grant you a seat at the table. When the money can't be debased, the abundance reaches you on its own, as prices that fall and savings that hold their ground. And Dixon told us who the real trillionaire is, the person who can move their wealth across the world without a port, a shipment, or anybody's permission. Almost nobody who has ever lived could do that until Bitcoin. All right, that's what I've got, but now I want to hear from you. Which rigged measurement got you? The value of your house, the inflation number, or the price you were allowed to pay? And is Vance circling the real answer and just missing it? Or does he know exactly what honest money would cost the people in charge? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if this one landed for you, hit the like button and send it to the person who thinks Elon Musk is swimming in a pool of physical money. And subscribe to Simply Bitcoin so you don't miss what's next. We'll see you Thursday.